I need you to ring the bell. Just like all of you, if you're new here, ring that bell because the shorts are bread and butter to get monetized on. Absolutely. It gives everyone a goal, money, whatever. It's just a convenience. Help us, help you. Welcome back to During Business Hours. My name's Christopher, and this is Eric. This is your show. Have you ever watched Diary of a Wimpy Kid?
I read the books, never watched the movie.
I read the books. It was the only, my first read-through series when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was so excited. And then came Percy Jackson.
Percy Jackson, great
books. The second book that I had ever read. Then there was Harry Potter. So I read through the series. It was the only book series that I ever got excited enough about to actually go to the library, buy the books, come home, order the books, come home, keep it in my bag, read through it in 3 days. The only ones that I ever cared to really read that weren't an assignment. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't very literate as a kid. It was all
I had these dang Star Wars Galaxy of Fear books. It was Goosebumps, but Star Wars. Those were the coolest.
I watched Goosebumps. I didn't read it. So for those of you who don't know, Ryan Grantham, the one who played in the movies, murdered his mother. Yeah. The Diary of...
It's not so wimpy a kid. You're killing his parents?
Dude.
Killing his parent?
Apparently, at 24, he killed his mother in 2020, Barbara Waite, 64. She played piano in their British Columbia home. He was sentenced recently. And I guess he was on Riverdale. I didn't really care about Riverdale. Never watched it. He shot his mother in the head. But I was a fan of him, and I always imagined myself as him as a kid, you know what I mean? Living that. And I had seen that this happened. He confessed to the murder in a GoPro video and showed off his mother's body according to the evidence presented in court. Prosecutors said that he left the crime scene with Molotov cocktails and firearms and a plan to kill Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in Ottawa. He also considered committing a mass shooting before surrendering to police, CBC reported. Defense lawyer Chris Johnson said the actor, who has been jailed since his arrest, anticipated Justice Kathleen Kerr's sentence. And his sentence was life. Rightfully so.
Yep.
He'll be eligible for parole in 14 years at 38.
For murder.
Murder, intent to do some crazy shit. These child actors are crazy. Fucking crazy.
I like the normal crazy and not the murder your mom crazy. What's Macaulay Culkin up to? I know he had a podcast and a bunch of cool stuff going on there for a bit.
I have no idea. I just read now there is a draft for Ukraine. Putin orders a draft for the Ukraine war.
Their opinion was already so low of the war. They're going to just be scooping people out and throwing them in trucks.
This is one of the reasons that Putin needs to be assassinated. Absolutely. It's just the constant bullshit. If Biden was doing this, I would say that absolutely. On the opposite side. There is no good or bad in this situation, right? I don't care if Ukraine was in the right, Russia's in the wrong. The way it's treated. Now he's forcing the civilians who don't want to be in it. Mm-hmm. If you don't got enough people, you can't fight. You're running out of chips, you lose.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game. Keep people loyal to you by doing the right things. They'll want to fight for you. It's tale as old as fucking Napoleon. You have to keep them on your side. The only reason that 4-foot fuck back then got people to fight for him was he was inspiring. Mm-hmm. So if you cannot carry that like Napoleon for the small people, as he's so small in stature and girth, unfortunately, you're going to lose your country. I don't care how massive your country is. You're one man and a regime of people who also must think in ways similar to your civilians.
Once you get people deserting and dissenting too, it's just a snowball. It's just going to go from there.
This photo, it looks like they're running. Amid uncertainty over the scope of the draft, reports of social media posts showed long lines of cars backed up on Russia's border crossings to Finland and Georgia to the west, Kazakhstan and Mongolia to the south. People are running. They are running with visa-free travel. Armenia, Turkey, they're either sold out or have soared in price for their tickets. Armenia is already at war with
Azerbaijan.
But our editors are in Armenia, and I hear about this constantly. They're being invaded, and it is a dire situation over there. They've taken almost a third of Armenia, this one set of the country. And so they're just going home to home, killing people, marching through. Nobody's talking about it. It's not on the news because it's not political enough to wave people in a way. You don't hear about the things that the country's not involved in because they don't want you to know. There's wars every day. There's rape, murder, pillaging, theft. There's assaults. There's brutalization on a scale never seen before. The fucking world's on fire. But if you know people in those regions, then you hear about it and you're like, nah, it doesn't sound, that's crazy. We're still even with all the bullshit here, we're still the most free and able country in the world. Even with the dissent, the drama, the bullshit, even with the elderly on the stand. And I saw a clip today, and I'll throw it up. Biden said that the girl in the crowd he recognized from when she was 12 years old and he was 30, and she helped him do a lot of his work.
I still think you're reading way too much into that. Biden's
why
creepy,
even call that out? Why? At what point?
Somebody you knew from way back. Oh, look, it's like a teacher seeing a kid that you fucking taught. Cool.
You don't have to be like, 12 and 30. That just makes his wording.
That's just perspective for the
tact.
Weird connection.
That's tact. You got to have tact, right? I need to know.
I knew you when you were 12. How is that not tactful other than Biden's creepy?
You worked with me when you were 12 and I was 30. You helped me get a lot done. She knows it. That's how he said it.
Yeah, because he's a fucking creepy old guy.
Creepy, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't mean anything.
I don't care if it means nothing. It's the way he said it that says a lot. Like that, if he can't think at the imagery of that and how it would make people feel uncomfortable.
And how people are jumping at a simple saying that he said to somebody he was work acquaintances or whatever with.
You don't have to say certain things. You don't have to say. You don't have to say it, and you don't have to say it so weirdly. You know what I mean? You don't have to
say a lot of weird stuff.
I say a lot of weird stuff, but I also speak off the synapse instead of it funneling through filters. I speak. I understand. But it doesn't make any sense why he would call out the difference in their age of 18 years from when there's no reason he should have ever worked with a 12-year-old in the first place.
It could have been someone's kid from a political thing that was pretend filing paperwork or stapling or something stupid. We don't know.
It's a creepy statement to make.
It's not inherently creepy to say you knew someone 18 years ago.
That's not how he said it.
You're reading too much into it.
If I said that I'm currently working with a 12-year-old, like I'm currently working.
Cool, they're making slime next door at your business. It's fun.
That's still illegal. They can't be working.
Not if they're like a cousin who you're babysitting and they want to hop in on it.
It would have to be my child for me to be able to employ them in any means.
But then also this is, how old's fucking Biden?
I don't know. Did they have child labor laws?
Child labor laws aren't as recent or as old as people think they are.
If you pull that up and it says 1850, slapper cap.
Biden 79, so that was 49 years ago. What year is 49 years ago?
79, 80,
73.
73.
1973 is when they made the first law saying someone under 18 cannot work there. So that's right at the very end of child labor. It could have been an office job and still legal for children to work at. Who knows?
That's the year.
It's the year. Could have been in January 1st.
Okay.
1973.
But you get my point, though.
I get what you're saying here, but you're also reading too much into a completely different era in the history of this company.
But in 40 years, does he not understand that is a vast different...
Have you seen him talk to anyone? He doesn't understand why anything he says is inappropriate. He says all the weirdest off-the-cuff stuff. He's the president of the United States. He's the president of the United States. He's the president of the United States.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But he is not my president.
He's the president. He is your president.
So it's one of those things. Back when Nixon was in office, you had a lot of people that were like, no, I respect his political power. I just do not respect him as my president. There was a big movement.
But he's still your president. He is head of state currently in the country as democratically elected.
I do not recognize him as an active and concerned political power. I see him as an old man who's being satiated with medical attention and given some bit of authority over the people around him. And he may feel like that's enough, or sometimes he doesn't, and then wants to get into a pissing match with Putin. He had made claims against Putin that he was a war criminal, all these things to NATO and the UN. The White House walked it back. He made claims on his new 60-minute interview that he unequivocally says the pandemic is over, COVID-19 is over. The COVID-19 pandemic is over. White House walked it back. Claims that everyone should get vaccinated and that every American needs to do their part. White House walked it back.
They still say everyone should get vaxxed.
Not everyone. Religious, whatever, exemptions, all that stuff. But he was like, everyone. Doesn't matter, race, religion, everyone should get it.
Everyone should get vaccinated. You don't have to, but everyone should.
Not everyone should. Because there are exemptions for your religious beliefs, your medical history. People can die from taking the vaccine. That's a fact. That is proven.
Anybody can die from taking ice cream. There's risks in everything.
You're pulling hairs here. What we're saying is there's a direct link in certain situations where it is a bad thing to take. I'm not saying all people. I'm not saying it should be, if it's for you, it's for you. It's not for me. Personally, I had a feeling about it. I didn't feel with my situation it was a good thing. I lied about my status. I've already said this open on the podcast, but it was for my benefit, for my family's benefit, and we were better for it. The one person in my family who got vaccinated had horrible reactions, almost hospitalization reactions. Not going through that again. I don't think he has done more good than bad, in my opinion. I would, if we went to war with Russia, to happily enlist. If there was a draft, sign me up. But that's because I'm more of a patriot than I am a media personality or a wannabe social media person. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit at my house and wait for them to come to me. I'm happy to join the fight. But that's how I was raised, who I am. So when I talk shit about Putin, it's because I sincerely believe he is a dictator.
He's a dictator.
But there's people who believe he's a socialist, that he is liberating Russia, that he's liberating the middle.
It's just this propaganda he has set up. He's got a great network behind him to help support the narrative.
Exactly. But then you also have a lot of kids that believe that Russia is a socialist country, not a dictatorship.
Nobody gets elected as many times back to back as he does. Any country, regardless of terms.
It's crazy because Russia is not a bad place. It's not inherently evil. You know what I mean?
It just has a terrible administration.
Exactly. So we see that in Russia, but I think they see that here. You know what I mean? The same way that you say it's the president, where people are there saying that Putin's their president. You know what I mean?
A foreign head of state is your president? Referring to them, not you.
Dictator, leader, world leader, whatever. So then it goes in hand to my next story about Iran. Have you heard about the protests in Iran?
Talking about the...
Last Friday, a woman was loosely wearing her headdress.
Yes, I read about that.
And then released to the facility for the police, and then they released heavily edited and cut video.
And she died of a tragic heart condition.
That was never apparent. Family went on the record. Doctors went on the record. Looks like she was beaten in the police van heavily. Because
the video of her edited is her almost stumbling around that station, falling down. And then they're like, her heart gave out. It's a tragedy. They'd have freaking bust their knees up or some crazy shit, you know?
Not even. They probably crushed her rib, like stood on her, beating her, slapping her around, got her so overworked and upset. And then none of the body cameras were on. Their supreme leader.
They're never on.
Their supreme leader said a bunch of bullshit online. This is just a disgraceful act of a few that the problem is they're never going to change the headdress because it's part of their religious beliefs. They're saying that if they give on this, give people what they want, then they're going to have to give up so much more. They think they are the holiest of countries.
This is where you get issues with keeping church and state together, married, permanently.
I think Iran is due for some restructuring. Their supreme leader's got to go. Their dictator president's got to go. And they need to start letting some of these younger kids make some of the policies on how they want to live. Because those kids will be elderly one day and then making the policies anyway. Mm-hmm. Either you let them try and poison you early, or you get to teach them what you want to teach them to let them make better decisions in 50 years. So there's a huge problem in this control factor with some of these political figures in different countries. Justin Trudeau, in my opinion, is more very control and very narrow. Biden is very we can change your opinion, media. Russia is very hammer fist. You do what we say and we'll just put out whatever propaganda. You'll disappear. Iran is, we'll just kill you, beat you to death.
No, get stoned and not the way you want to be.
We just turn off the internet because they turned off everyone's internet. Next step, Elon Musk is going to come in and start shipping Starlinks, but they're kicking the shit out of the police, man. Some of those kids, they went hard. They Molotoved a bunch of them.
The police are just a tool of the administration to bully people for almost a second military force, or a National Guard, kind of thing. Depending on how they're equipped, your police shouldn't be armored up, automatic weapons, all the crazy shit they've been giving these guys. It's in German now? Because you did proteste?
Yeah. Mahsa Amini is the female who was beaten to death. And people keep arguing the heart disease. And like I said, if you believe there was a heart issue, good for you.
She wasn't that old even. And like you said, family, nothing was wrong with her. Doctors, nothing was wrong with her.
So the father comes out and makes some statements. And the sad thing is they say, he must have had a stroke. He had medical issues too.
Going to make him disappear too.
Dude, yeah. So all of a sudden they were like, he's confused. And he's speaking perfect. Not a whisper, a slur, nothing. And I fuck my English up all the time. He sounds better than me. Mm-hmm. So Washington Post put this out. What's causing the protests in Iran? People are protesting the death of a 22-year-old woman in police custody. Died after being detained in the so-called hijab law. Videos, widespread protests met with violent crackdown. This is where it gets weird.
Cops just hucking fucking flashbangs into a crowd.
Also live grenades, shooting live rounds. Without honor, without honor, without honor. Death to the dictator. They are calling for their heads. It got violent. There's a video I saw on Reddit where officers were standing there firing live rounds at a slew of protesters. I've never seen anything so just unbelievable. I've seen a lot, but I've never seen police just actively try to kill, maim, and torture the protesters, because they're on a level. Even if you're just doing your job, to some degree, you want to protect yourself and them. If you're a cop, just a protector, a civil servant, and I got this job and I got to do right. I'm doing it for them. Doesn't matter where. Even if you're in the military and you're I'm doing it for the government, right? This is my country. I'm doing it. You still have a sense of right and wrong. for the police officers to be actively trying to kill the protesters is nuts to me.
It's no longer a service at that point. That's not for them if you're just popping rounds on them.
All of them got to go. I don't know if they can get the face, pull those people, but fuck, man.
And then that was always a thing that I was reading about, and you could tell the difference between police officers and like the more, like I was saying, backup military people is when they start hiding their faces, when they start being more and more geared up. If you are not I don't want to say plain clothes because that's street clothes. If you are a uniformed officer out serving your community, you got your badge, your name, your number is supposed to be available to everyone. You're not out there, I'm Officer 314 and I need you to come downtown. We're taking you in for you're Carl, you're the cop, you're a friendly neighborhood guy. You beat up a couple criminals. Maybe you had to shoot a drug dealer who was, doing some crazy shit, but you're there, you're out there. You're a guy, you're a woman, you're a part of the community helping serve and protect that community.
And it's weird that it's not even just regular protests anymore, like civil rights protests over there. Mm-hmm. It's anti-government now.
It's
purely
kill the fucker, get him out.
Yeah. Kill them all. Death. Bye-bye. So they started burning shit, doing all this, celebrating, burning their hijabs. The law is never coming back. Unless they full on kill everyone, I don't think it's ever coming back. I really hope they get their freedom. I really do. I hope
people hucking fucking pipes at the cops who were just trying to run away now.
They better.
God damn.
It's empowering, especially the rates they have to go to.
We first learned that it was a missile that took down a Ukrainian airliner over Iran because of this video showing the moment of impact. All 176 people on board were killed.
I didn't know about that.
That was the plane that got shut down. That was a while ago. Part of the start of all this shit.
Security forces have fired on protesters with gunshots, water cannons, beat them with batons. Cell phone internet usage has been dramatically restricted.
That's one of the countries where they literally have a switch. Cell phones are off.
WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, all of it. And, people have hacked some of those things to release some media. But Putin, the supreme leader, Kim Jong-un, I'm just saying, there's got to be a death chamber for these people. There has to be one that's in international waters that the governments of the UN says, hey, this is your Marvel's death raft. Fight to the death. One of you gets a new name somewhere.
Could you imagine having a battle royale and then ditching him in some country somewhere and you're like, here's your new identity, don't let anyone find you?
Exactly, because you got to take everything they own, strip them down. I bet Putin's got more money than God. The Saudis, as they call them, have more money than they declare on paper. They probably have the Scrooge McDuck.
This giant vault full of gold bullion.
It's insane to have that much money because they even in Dubai, they built a 30-story water pool. You see that?
I've seen some of them, yeah, and the indoor ski resorts and stuff they do. They just enclose an entire like football fields upon football fields of shit, and then fucking snow in the middle of the desert. Like,
could you imagine having that much money?
Like, that's more than fucking money. That's
having nothing but power.
Yeah.
Okay, build this.
You know what I want? A blizzard. Make it happen. Like
they make it rain in Saudi Arabia.
Indoors, outdoors?
Outdoors.
How did they do that?
Look it up. What is it? Sodium something they inject into the atmosphere with a mechanism, and it produces. It's a rain machine. And I saw this a couple of years ago. Joe Rogan was talking about it. But they have the fucking power to control the weather. They have so much money, they've developed the power to control the weather. If you didn't know this,
they have rainfall drones.
They have, rainfall drones. They have the ones that inject stuff into clouds.
They have a giant Predator drone looking thing that flies up into a cloud, and it looks like it's got a, like, helicopters have those missile rack things, one of those, but it's pointed backwards, and it's just chemicals they dump out. This is some crazy stuff.
And it makes it rain. Not only that, it also causes a lot of static charge up in that cloud, which
so you're getting thunderstorms and stuff.
Thunderstorms. So they can make it, and they make it rain over the dunes and stuff. This is how they've maintained a crazy water supply.
Silver iodide.
Silver iodide. This is the shit.
The particles find the clouds that are charged the most. They're going to be containing rain bullshit, most moisture, most static electricity. They allow ice crystals to form to them, and then that's what causes them to rise, gather other clouds, and make them rain. This is some crazy stuff.
You didn't know this?
No.
I saw this a couple of years ago, and I was so interested. They
make it snow, and the climate doesn't support snow, so it just rains.
It rains, yeah. This is also how they make it rain indoors, because their tallest buildings, they have ones that are like 60, 70 stories that are just empty, and they make it rain indoors for some of their greenery, especially for the Sultan, or sorry, not the Sultan, but the Prince or the High Council people. I'm not that cultured where it comes to Dubai. I would love to visit one day. Get me a ticket, Emirates. I appreciate you. Maybe a second honeymoon. My point being, it is crazy to think. It is absolutely crazy. If you see what Dubai has put forward for everyone to see and expect that Russia does not have that similar capability behind the scenes, Putin's got to go. He is not a smart man with that money nor that power. He is obviously very petty, aggravated, and desperate. He's losing the war. He's got a Green Hill Gap, for those who understand that. Green Hill Gap is happening all over again with Ukraine and Russia. Thank you, Jason Momoa. Now they're fucking stealing their own people. Kidnapping them. You don't want to go? Cool. Bang, right on the head. Pull you out in front of your mother. And mother's like, okay, goodbye.
Or they hit her too and throw her in the truck.
Probably. She could cook, feed, shoot, do something.
They need potato peelers.
But we don't do that here. Still, under the most economic or physical duress, I guarantee the United States does not do a draft unless there is on-land wartime. There's too many patriots. Even when we have shitty dictators, we still love the country. It's the country because it's separate from the person.
We haven't had any dictators.
I'm just saying, even if we had a dictator, we had Trump, right? Some people call him a dictator, that he was, power hungry, mad. My opinion is that the country is forever. The person is temporary. It's nothing but time. So that's where I can say that I separate him from being my president. I can say, this is my country, I love it, and not love the president. They can't say that anywhere else. Nowhere else. This country is amazing.
Put to death, reconditioning.
Mm-hmm. You'll die in the back of a fucking police van, living long enough to see yourself walk to the stairs and fall down. Or the chairs and fall down.
If they don't just roll you into an open grave.
Oh, they rolled her into the corner grave and hand wrote on her. That's fucked. The mother screaming out was just, I have a daughter, and if she had to experience something like that, I couldn't imagine. I didn't realize any of this was going on until yesterday. Not a single word on any news source I follow. Mm-mm. Nothing.
I tell you showed me the article. I didn't even know this was going on either. They don't want to cover it here.
Philip
they don't
DeFranco was talking about it yesterday when I was actually seeing it for the first time everywhere. Twitter was in a rage about something petty and stupid about two guys were talking across the pond at each other, chatting shit. And we were most of the Republican Party, Democratic Party were talking about climate and Biden and stupid shit. Nobody is saying, hey, we gave $1 billion or more, billions to Ukraine, but we can't do anything to help Iran. We killed their leader, the crazy guy. I can't even remember his name. Qasem Soleimani. Yeah, Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general. So he was the one who was planning attacks The American drone attack near Baghdad airport Friday, July 9th.
The Major General killed
Trump
by drone
was
strike.
like, Qasem Soleimani, the bad guy, very bad guy, but he's no longer bad. He's dead.
He can't be a bad guy if he did.
I remember him giving that speech, and I'm like, damn, good for you, but what's going to happen? And we all thought we were going to war with Iran. And now I think, I'm like, well, Iran's got nuclear power. Sure. And like, I don't want our channel to be all about politics. So excuse me if this is just what's happening in the world today. I love talking about what's happening in the world. But I think if we would have went to war last year with Iran, maybe it'd be over by now. Just saying. 2 years ago. You never know. That guy's on his last leg. The supreme leader's probably taking a bunch of shit in the arm. There is a million ways that could go. But I bet if we did file some type of declaration against Russia, Iran would join Russia, China would join Iran. So you'd have a World War III with us, Canada, or us European nations, probably Germany, versus Iran, Russia, China.
Because Russia and China hate the U.S. That's like 8 years running now, where it's been pretty bad.
Now they're in agreement. It's a scary world we live in. I don't know what else to say about it. What would you do if there was a draft? Would you enlist?
If I was drafted, I'd wait for the draft to show up.
Wait for the draft.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's your choice.
I'm not enlisting. Look at me. I'm a third tier.
I lost for those who have said I was in the service, I lost 75 pounds in basic. I didn't realize how fat I was until I got into basic, and then everyone called me fat. The tape matched, the numbers allowed me to get in, but I really thought I'd break a kneecap or something like that. I had friends who were overweight that they got shin splints and were discharged immediately. They broke a kneecap, broke a femur, getting over logs.
Breaking a femur, dude.
The guy who went in with me from Reno stayed in the Ramada with me for the first 2 days before we went to what's called the basic 1 week transfer and retention. And he was in 3 days. He was my battle buddy before I went and got a new battle buddy. And he snapped his femur on one of those obstacle courses. Hop in the wood, hop in the wood, hop in the wood. Then you would go up a ramp. Well, he went up the ramp. On his third step, he tripped, tumbled the ramp, and hit a log. Full on leg log. Just leg snapped. So he had a bunch of bones and stuff were sticking out. We all rushed to help. They were like, get the fuck away, you're not trained. So by the end of basic, we could have helped. Beginning of basic, don't touch
it.
No. We're going to make
get the fuck out of here. You're going to make it worse.
Post basic, I'm like, oh yeah, we really would have fucked that up. I probably would have pushed in a bone or
let's get that back in there.
Fucking stick in it. Let's go to third.
We got to get that sucker out of you.
I absolutely would have done something stupid. The me before basic training, before that 13 weeks, was such a stupid, angry, and fast-paced kid. Just shit like here, right? Hey, something needs to be done. I'd do it. No experience, not a video, not a tutorial, not a common sense thought. Everything. I truly believe my life changed for the better. I was still a hothead, but just the shit those people instilled in me for a lifetime within 13 weeks. I wish they had a service like that where you didn't have to get enlisted to get that type of training. I'll send my kids in.
Military school.
Nah, it's a difference.
Non-enlistment.
It encourages the enlistment a little bit too much, military school. Especially because then they give you honors, they give you rank endorsements, bonuses, especially with military school.
Doesn't the people who do that Tough Mudder stuff have a school? Ironman challenges or whatever?
It's a bit different. There's no that drive to do it. There was a sense of honor, I was bringing honor to my entire family line who hadn't served or refused to serve or just weren't patriotic. So I was like, I'm going to change that. The
United States is a really weird fixation on the honor of service and the value in
legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's any other job. It's just for your country.
The nearest country that does something similar is the royal family. The only thing in the UK that cares about the legacy is the royal family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because we come from that descendants. We descend from them.
A lot of other countries don't do the
dependent
crazy stuff.
Idea of like us being independent, or not the definition of us being independent, I think lays that on our core values. Like we are an independent nation, free and clear of tyranny and this, that, and the other. And we're like, okay, well, the next generation has to move the needle. Next generation move the needle. You want to be rich? It may not be you. It may be somebody down the line that moves your needle, writes your name in the sand, writes it in stone. However you want to do it. Me, I was like, I'm going to put my name in stone. I don't care if it's at the top of the rock or the bottom. It's going to be there. My great-grandkids will know my name. They'll see my uniform. They'll know my history, whatever. They'll see this. They'll understand. They'll get some resemblance of me. That's part of this passion project, is to verify the record of what I go through and how I see the world. Just one of those things. But boy, the look on even my grandson's face, my granddaughter's face, when they see a uniform like that coming out of the closet for the first time, and I just remember feeling that myself, there's nothing like it. The pride, even at 6 or 7, for like duty and honor that you've never felt before. It's kind of like if my grandmother would have pulled out a secret Power Rangers outfit and been like, we are the chosen ones. That's how I felt. It's weird.
I never felt anything like that. My dad did Navy. My grandpa did Air Force. They've showed me their uniforms, and I'm like, neat clothes.
Yeah, it's weird. It's I can only hope one day they feel the same. Want to do something. So yes, I'm a military veteran. We've got some people chatting shit in the comments on our shorts. We'll continue to make them. If you enjoy the content, make sure you hit the share button. Grandmas love us.
Don't know why. I don't get it.
If you've seen the last vlog or the last clip we did upload last week, you understand why. We're so patient, so kind. Spent 45 minutes on with Miss Rebecca. Yeah. And we'll see you all later.
Life can be super happy, life can be super sad. I'm trying super hard to separate the good and bad. I go back to my future just to get to my past. But knowing me, my DeLorean will probably